Imagine opening an ancient book, expecting to find peace, comfort, answers, and suddenly you come face to face with a nightmare. Creatures covered in eyes, fire-breathing beasts, and beings with human faces that would make any Hollywood horror look like a child's game. And what if I told you that the purest form of terror was never created in movies, but written in the pages of the Bible? Today, we're going to uncover 6 of the most disturbing and mysterious creatures hidden in the scriptures. Beings so strange, they challenge everything we think we understand about the divine. From ancient beasts to angels that look nothing like what you've been told, this journey might change the way you see faith forever. But before we go any further, let me ask you something. Have you ever stopped to think that the most sacred book in the world might also contain visions that would terrify even the boldest mind? Because what you're about to see is not just symbolism, and it's not just metaphor. These descriptions are real, and they force us to confront something deeper. That creation itself may be far more vast, far more mysterious, and far more unsettling than we were ever taught. So take a moment and imagine this. You're standing in an ancient place, and suddenly, reality begins to break. What would you do if you came face to face with a being covered in eyes, watching you from every direction? What if angels were never meant to look human at all? These are the questions that bring us to this moment, because today, we're not just listing creatures, we're stepping into something that challenges everything we thought we knew. And trust me, the last one is not something you're ready for. So let's start with something that might sound familiar. Have you ever heard of the Basilisk? It's mentioned in the book of Isaiah, but this wasn't just a snake. It was believed to be so deadly, it could kill with a single glance. Now think about this for a second. What would you do if a child placed their hand into its nest and nothing happened? Not because the creature changed, but because the world itself was transformed. A symbol of hidden danger, waiting in places you'd never expect. And this is only the beginning. Now this one might surprise you, because yes, the Bible actually mentions unicorns, but not the kind you're thinking of. The original word referred to something real, a massive, untameable beast, a creature of pure strength that no human could control. Let me ask you something. What kind of power would it take to create something that no one can dominate? Not magical, not gentle, but wild, unstoppable, and feared. A reminder that not everything created was meant to be tamed. Now let me ask you something. When you think of angels, what do you see? Because the cherubim look nothing like that. Described in the book of Ezekiel, they had 4 faces: a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. Wings stretched in every direction, and their entire bodies covered in eyes, watching everything. Can you imagine being in front of something like that? Not soft, not gentle, but guardians, relentless, unblinking, unimaginable. And then there are the seraphim, beings of fire, with 6 wings, 2 covering their faces, because even they could not look directly at divine glory, 2 covering their feet in humility, and 2 to fly. They didn't whisper, they didn't rest, they burned, and they cried out without stopping. Now think about this. What kind of presence requires even angels to shield themselves? Not just messengers, but something far more intense, living fire in the presence of something infinite. Now we move from heaven to something on earth, and what we find is Behemoth, described in the book of Job as one of the first great works of creation. A creature so powerful, its bones were like iron, its strength unstoppable, its presence overwhelming. It feeds on entire landscapes as if they were nothing. Let me ask you something. What kind of world can contain a creature like this? A reminder that there are forces far beyond human control. And yet, even this is not the most terrifying, because what comes next is not just a creature. Let that sink in. This is something else. Abaddon, the angel of the abyss, the king of destruction. In Revelation, he commands a swarm of beings that look like something out of a nightmare. Bodies like war horses, faces like humans, teeth like lions, and tails that strike like scorpions. They don't kill, they torment. Now imagine that being released. And all of it answers to one name: Abaddon. A reminder that some forces are not just powerful, they are unleashed. And this was only part of what's hidden in the Bible. Because what we didn't show you goes even further. Creatures tied to prophecy, to the end of time, to something still coming. So let me ask you one last thing. Are you ready to see the rest? Because part 2 goes deeper.